Am I the entitled person? I had to fly to San Diego for work last week at 30-ish weeks pregnant. Bear with me, I know Reddit hates pregnant people, but I really think I handled this one the right way. I was flying American Airlines, and when you book your flight you pick your seat. I booked a few weeks in advance, and chose a seat that was towards the middle of the plane closest to the bathroom, and I selected an aisle seat. I paid $78 for my seat because it's considered a premium seat due to legroom. My return flight was a red-eye, and as I waited at the airport to check the seats for any closer to the restroom, I noticed that the row I selected as well as the one directly across were mostly empty. Great. I don't mind getting up to move for others on a flight. I usually would take the window seat, but due to being so far into pregnancy, I was advised by my OB to get up every 1 to 2 hours and walk around to avoid the risk of blood clots. She also wanted me to drink a lot of water on the flight, hence the proximity to the bathroom. Because of this I booked an aisle seat, partially for convenience but also so I wouldn't have to bother or potentially wake sleeping passengers on an 8-hour red-eye every 1 to 2 hours to walk around or pee. Like I said, I paid a fee for this assigned seat. So boarding happens and I see that the flight has filled out a bit, and now there are no empty seats in either row. No issue, I've made the necessary accommodations and I'm not relying on empty seats on anyone else to do any type of switch, so this doesn't impact me at all. If people need to get up and move, great, a reminder for me to get some steps in. I'm sitting in my seat and the woman who will be taking the window seat boards and we chat a bit and she says not to worry, she won't be a bother getting up and down as she plans to sleep, and I tell her not to worry, if she needs to get up she won't be bothering me, and tell her I have to get up to walk anyway. Towards the end of boarding a very tall man comes and he's in the aisle helping a woman who is in the aisle seat next to mine, but like across the aisle if that makes sense, to put her bag in the overhead bin. At this point I have my AirPods in but I'm on alert as I'm aware there is someone in the middle seat and I'll have to get up and let them in. It becomes apparent that this man has the middle seat in my row while his wife has the aisle seat next to mine, so I am initially sat right between them. I pull out my headphone and offer to switch aisle seats so they can sit next to one another. There is a bit of a language barrier and she gestures next to her at a boy, maybe 8 to 10 years old, and says this is her son and she doesn't want to leave him alone in the row. So I nod and say okay, totally makes sense, and stand to let her husband into the middle seat. Hey, race where I was called. Entitled. The man asks for me to switch with him so he can sit next to his wife. Thinking maybe it didn't register to him that I am pregnant, I jokingly gestured to my very obvious bump and explained the bathroom. And the frequent walks. He says he doesn't mind, he will get up. I said no, I'm sorry, I paid for the aisle seat so that I would be able to get up and move freely as needed during the flight, and not have to disturb anyone. He again insisted that he needed to be able to sit with his wife and child, and I suggested they speak to the flight attendant about moving seats. The FA obviously didn't have much of a solution for them, so they spent the entire flight leaning across me to talk to one another, passing drinks and snacks across my lap, blocking my laptop screen, and getting up and down frequently to make me suffer. Fine, whatever, doesn't bother me. However, when there started to be a frequency of elbows to my baby bump during their discussions, I let the FA know what was going on and they were told to stop reaching across me. My husband says I was entitled and playing the pregnancy card. Is he right?